Slade knew my stepdad was a huge prick, and one thing about Slade is she's funny, but she's feisty. I mean, if you piss her off, she's scary. Like, I'm scared of her.
Yeah. But so you said White Pioneers, even though we had the good core of friends, you said things changed. It got harder with that because of the anxiety started to kick in. So
Yeah.
it kind of planted a seed at that moment. This moment of shame kind of planted a seed. And you think, did it grow from there? Or do you think your later anxiety unrelated to that?
It was
kind of,
actually
did you learn
earlier.
anxiety then?
Earlier it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you why, but I can remember the night like it was yesterday. I was laying in my bed and I got hit with anxiety. It was the first time as a kid I can remember that butterfly feeling, my heart racing, sweaty, like I couldn't breathe. Like it was the first time I had a panic attack. And from that night on, I couldn't sleep at night unless my little brother was with me in my room. Like
How old were you think?
This was 5th grade.
Wow.
Because I can remember like one girl in school was like, "Oh, do you want to come over?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't come over because, well, my parents made me end up going to therapy. Like it got to be that bad. Like they were like, what is wrong with this girl? Like she can't sleep anymore. She's constantly like on edge." So I started seeing a therapist, which, I mean, I don't remember that being a very helpful.
Therapy's evolved a lot.
Yeah, back then I don't remember. She had me like color a lot of pictures, and and I didn't know why nothing happened in my life at that time that would have made me like that. But that was when I first started getting panic attacks and anxiety, and then that kind of that incident at White Pine with my name, where it kind of made me panicky then and anxious for like every class or anytime my name was being said, and then anxiety towards anything kind of developed.
When did your parents separate?
Well, that was the real big kicker of why my mental health went to shit, because it was the middle of 8th grade, and my dad came to us and told us that he was, homosexual and was going to, and I am, an ally to everybody. I don't have anything negative to say about anything, but as a child in 8th grade,
perspective,
it's very embarrassing. And I remember that gave me anxiety because what am I going to tell people where my dad is, or like why my dad left? Like, I mean,
and he told you that he's homosexual at that age.
And yes, wow. And that he had a boyfriend.
Why not keep it secret? I wonder. Until
I was a little older. Yeah.
Until you're older, right?
That was the summer going into 8th grade, and then my mom got married like maybe a month after that to a horrible man, just verbally abusive, physically abusive to my mom, us. So that is kind of when Happy Chrissy started going away.
Come on. Happy home.
But I hit it really well, like I hit it like through high school. And I mean, even to like, I don't even think my close friends really knew the depths of what went on in our house. It's like I just always hit it. Like I just was like, you just got to keep being that funny.
Now I understand.
Outgoing Chrissy that everybody loves. Yeah.
You threw me for a loop when you said happy home, because my memory is a dysfunctional home, and now I know why. Is that because so many times I stood out in front of your house, it was that it spilled into high school. Because we were in a car. And so that means we were already into sophomore year by that time. And I remember you leaving the house unhappy and like kind of like, oh, and like happy to escape basically. But
absolutely,
there was like almost like demons pulling you. You ain't going nowhere, like I don't know if you ever seen like Miyazaki, like Castle in the Clouds, like kind of like animation like this, like little like spirits like grabbing at you, like not wanting to let you go free. Maybe it's just like a dance or something like that. But I have this kind of, it's not a memory, but it's like a feeling of sitting in front of your house. Yeah, I think it was even my car. I'm pretty sure it was my Mazda.
I
And we
can
were
remember
picking you
this.
up. Yeah, and there was some kind of anxiety, and I was like microcy, like why, like
Yeah.
you don't see her emotional like this. And from that moment, I started to see these little more moments of like anger and frustration. This kind of spill out a little bit as we
Yeah.
got closer and closer to senior year. Yeah. So
Yeah,
what
and I
was high
became
school
much
like?
more
Mhm.
isolated. I came
Yes.
a lot more isolated senior year. Like you didn't see
Yep.
me at senior things, and
What were you
I
doing?
just well, I had a boyfriend that went to Swan Valley, so I mean, I
Oh,
kind of hung out with him. Other than that, I kind of just like I listened to music in my room. I kind of just did my thing.
you
I
didn't
liked
want to
high
leave the
school though.
house? You didn't want to leave the house? I wanted to leave the house all the time when it got bad.
I mean, definitely once. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain because
Mhm.
as much as I wanted to leave the house, I felt this responsibility that I had to like make sure my mom was going to be okay.
That's the other feeling I felt.
It's
You
so
became at
weird.
some point as a like a house mom.
Yeah.
Like even though you were younger, there was like a kind of like babysitter feeling. With Mercy Bender, I felt the same feeling about her by high school too. There was like you guys have this interesting responsibility to the home versus like me and Stu by high school are even freer. You know, like the world is
Yeah,
ours,
yeah.
but the opposite happens for you. And Taria had that issue even younger, is where you're like drawn towards the home, like some kind of invisible responsibility towards the home. And a lot of that magnetism is guilt or shame. Is like you're like have to do it for some kind of, you're asked to be an adult earlier than probably is should be.
You should have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Slade was a huge help because Slade knew my stepdad was a huge prick. And one thing about Slade is she's funny, but she's
Mm-hmm.
feisty. I mean, if you piss her
Mm-hmm.
off, she's scary. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared of her.
Yep.
And I can remember distinctly there was a Halloween and my stepdad was just bitching at my little brother who was only about 9 at the time, just being so rotten, saying rotten things and telling him he can't go trick or treating. I can remember Slade just looking at me and she said, "You know what? You are a huge asshole." And he
Wow.
just kind of looked at her like, "Did that little girl just say that to me?" But it
Mm-hmm.
worked. He let my little brother go and he just went in his room and locked the door. And so Slade spent a lot of time with me. Like I feel like in high school, I would leave a lot. Me and Slade, I can remember driving around the town all the time. Like I was with
Mm-hmm.
Slade. She was kind of my savior through all that.
Mm-hmm.